What do you have to say about the recent comments that have been made by a certain gentleman?
Of course, I would not read too much into it. The reason why I believe Minister of Foreign Affairs issued a statement of clarification precisely says it. Don't take it too seriously. Uh, if I were at my Prime Minister's shoes, I would not have said it. He's already said it. So I guess, if we read too much into it and then use it as something that's going to create more provocations, that's not going to be good for either of us, either Nepal or India.
Mr. Rijal, now what was this great hurry in revising Nepal's maps? Something which you've not done.
No, we are not in a hurry. We have been raising this issue for the last 23 years. First time we raised this issue was back in 1997, and since then it has been raised in all bilateral meetings. Since 2000, it has been recognized as outstanding border issue. We've waited for more than 23 years to get this resolved, and the last communication we received from India was once both countries and societies are done fighting with the COVID-19 crisis, we can meet at the secretary level and resolve it. We are hoping that something of that sort would happen, but all of a sudden we heard the news that Minister of Defense virtually inaugurated the road. And not only that, your army chief went on record to say that Nepal is doing this at the prompting of one of the neighbors, which I think was uncalled for. So I guess, Indian audience and Indian policymakers will be well advised to review what they have done and what have created the situation that we are in today.
Okay, now why is dialogue not being given a chance? Don't you think that confrontation will never lead us anywhere? Dialogue will always be the way forward. Do you think that this present dispensation in Nepal is anti-dialogue as far as India is concerned?
No, it has to be resolved through dialogue. We have always said that. What we have emphasized time and again is we are willing to sit down with our Indian counterpart, present our evidences, take a look at the evidences Indian side has, and then based upon the merit of the evidence, both sides have, we can get a resolution to it. Otherwise, if we be too subjective and then say this belongs to us or this belongs to you, that's not going to take us anywhere. At the end of the day, evidences do count, and let's look at the evidences and then get a resolution.
Dr. Rijal, now your Prime Minister's...
Our complaint precisely is we are hoping that Indian government would not do anything during this COVID-19 crisis. Once the crisis is over, both sides will sit down at the secretary level, and then people at the lower level can follow it up, and that has not happened. And that really made us feel bad that India was doing something unilaterally that created the situation that we are in today.
Now, I'll tell you what is the sense in India. Your Prime Minister's utterances make it appear as if he's close to China. His repeated meetings with the Chinese envoy also seem to give the same impression. What's your impression?
First part, when you say some of the statements that you're referring to, I would certainly agree with you. Had those statements not come, it would have done much better to both Nepal and India. But once the statements are already out, I guess, if we try to create a life of its own, that probably is not going to help much. The second part of his statement, that he has done it at the prompting of one of the neighbors, nothing could be less informed than this conclusion. So, Nepal would not do at the prompting of any neighbors. We have had a very friendly relationship with both of our neighbors from time immemorial. We're not going to ruin it. We understand the importance and special characteristics and the profoundness of our relationship with India, and also would like to tell our friends and colleagues in India that our relationships with China is also important. But at the same time, we understand the importance and depth of the relationship with our friend India.
What's your assessment of Mr. Oli's tenure as Prime Minister?
I mean, I am one of his fiercest critics in the parliament. But the point I'm trying to make here and in many other interviews that I've given is my opposition to him ends at the border, Nepal's international border. Beyond that, you should all think of us as Nepali people presenting a coherent point of view. I am my coming out to India and opposing him is not going to do any good. As far as domestic policy is concerned, as far as his his handling of domestic issues are concerned, I'm very critical of him.
Sure.
But that does not change my position as far as the
fair enough.
land Limpiadura, Lipulek and Kalapani is concerned. On that issue, Prime Minister and I are together. All the parties, not only Prime Minister and I, all political parties in Nepal are together. We passed the constitutional amendment with the consensus vote. So I mean, his performance on the domestic front is different from the outstanding border issues that we are trying to resolve between our two nations.
Fair enough, fair enough. That's very gentlemanlike of you also. I agree with what you're saying. But Mr. Rijal, don't you think that the statement of your Prime Minister on Ayodhya should have at the very least been avoided?
I mean, this should have been avoided. I do not agree with what he said. And that precisely is the reason why Minister of Foreign Affairs has issued a statement of clarification. So I would take Minister of Foreign Affairs statement more seriously than Prime Minister's utterance. Had it been me, I would not have said what he said. But once the bullet's already fired, I mean, if we try to make a big issue out of it, we are not going to do good to either of our nations, Nepal and India. Let's just forget what was said. That should not have been said. That should not have been said. It has already been said. It has already been fired. It was unfortunate. Let's try to forget that, and then let's just feel that it was never said, or let's just understand and recognize that this should not have been said, and let's assume that it was not said.